She's as long as the Eiffel Tower is high. Longer than 3 football fields. 10 city blocks. And to be exact, 963 feet. Those who sail her, captain and crew, speak of the QE2 with fierce possessive pride.
It is the most famous ship in the world. I came to sea as a cadet on a shell tanker. Never in my wildest imagination did I dream that I would end up as captain of the QE2. And when I came to see the QE2 was just being built, and I remember seeing it on television being launched and going through its fitting out period and sailing away. And I was a cadet on a shell tanker there. I was chipping paint and doing all sorts of dirty jobs. And never in my wildest imagination did I believe that. And then I thought of that when I first took command of this. I went out on the bridge wing in Southampton. I looked down the back end of it and I thought, yes.
And 4 million miles, the QE2 has welcomed passengers as famous as she is. She is the last of the great transatlantic superliners, built for grace and speed. Like her forerunners, the Queen Mary, the Queen Elizabeth, and the one and only Titanic.
Everyone in the world knows this ship. The expectations are so high here. Wherever you go, if you make a mistake here, it's headlines in the paper the next day. The difference between a crossing of the North Atlantic and a cruise is I think that the crossing goes back in time, it takes you back in time. It's the way people used to travel. And I think this form of travel that we still preserve on board QE2, and we're the only ship to do it, still takes people back to those times. People who travelled years ago love to come back and say, gosh, they're still travelling the Atlantic by a ship, I don't have to go on an aircraft.
Passengers are our business. They're the most important part of our operation. It's very easy to lose a passenger. It's not so easy to get one. So we have to make sure that when they come on here, they remember the voyage. I regard every voyage as an adventure. I like them to share in that adventure. They have to go away happy, feeling good about the QE2 and their vacation they've had. So it's very important to have all of us on board, and we all take it very seriously. Always the most important part I know from going on holiday is the friendliness of the staff, crew. That is the most important. I know where I'd rather be in a very fancy hotel with a condescending staff, or a good staff with an older hotel. And I think we have it right on here. Our staff is friendly, and it always comes out in our feedback that the staff are the friendliest you'll find afloat.
plenty to keep you and your family busy on the QE2. Even the pets are treated like passengers, complete with a London lamppost for their daily outing at sea. While the kids are in the nursery, you can take in a lecture. Shop till you drop. Then treat yourself to a proper English tea in the Queen's Room. You may be here for the sea air or the spa, the casino, or cocktails in the Golden Lion pub. But chances are you'll go home from the QE2 talking about one thing: the food.
The restaurants on board I'm particularly proud of, because we have 5 restaurants, and in fact we're the only ship afloat with 5 restaurants. Whatever people want, they can have on board QE2. Our Queen's Grill restaurant, where most of them dine, is famous throughout the world for being able to produce whatever people want. And this is even in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
I think you get everything from a haggis to a hot dog, or it beats me why you want to eat a hot dog for dinner, you know.
As a floating hotel, as a great floating hotel, we have many problems that they don't have in a land-based establishment. I guess the most obvious one is if I run out of food, I'm in the middle of the Atlantic, I can't ring a grocery store and have it delivered the next day. For a normal transatlantic crossing, we could go through 200 pounds of caviar or 2,500 pounds of foie gras, but then you come down to the very basics like potatoes, and you know, you can have maybe 500 pounds of potatoes on board at any one time. 3,000 eggs are consumed a day, so you can imagine how many eggs for a transatlantic crossing.
He's talking about scrambled eggs. But it's fish eggs the QE2 is famous for. Caviar, so valuable it's kept under double lock and key.
We keep about $100,000 worth of caviar at any one time in our storerooms. This storeroom holds more caviar than anywhere else in the world outside a warehouse.
With your caviar, you'll be offered the perfect champagne from a wine cellar that rivals any 5-star restaurant, on land or sea.
Here we are in one of the 2 temperature-controlled areas for storing wines and champagnes on board the QE2. To my left, we have the connoisseur selection of fine and rare wines, and to my right, we have roughly 10,000 bottles of ordinary Van de Pays, going up through to Saint Julien. The total value of this room, I suppose, would be about $150,000 US. Here we have probably one of the most sought-after wines in the world. We have the Chateau Petrus. The vintage is actually excellent for Merlot, 1979. Also in this particular room, we have our collection of Cuban cigars. From Monte Cristo number 1s, 2s, 4s. Roughly we start each crossing with about 250 boxes. And from this room we issue about 200 to the outside bars every day. In addition to this, the fine wines and the wines in this room, in the other room we have the champagnes. This will range from the Laurent Perrier Demi-Sec up through to the Roederer Cristal 1989 vintage. We carry 22 different types of champagne, something for everyone's pocket.
After sunset, the atmosphere on board is elegant, relaxed, luxurious. Black tie, of course. And from cocktails with the captain to dinner in the Queen's Grill, a quiet calm prevails. Or so it seems. It takes a staff of hundreds to make sure your meal is absolutely perfect.
People, when they come to the QE2, they fall in love with the very fact they're working on the QE2. It's such a name. Wherever they go, people say, you're on the QE2. And it's very nice for those people to be able to say yes.
No expense is spared to make your journey memorable. Live lobsters are flown in from Maine to resupply the ship in every port. The chefs prepare only the freshest Dover sole and Scottish salmon. the finest Kansas beef, and New Zealand lamb. And in case 3 meals a day are not enough to satisfy your appetite, there's always the midnight buffet by candlelight. It's as much fun to watch as it is to eat. Voila!
Since I've been here 6 years, you realise seeing people come back. And even if you don't know them, they'll know you.
Your accommodations on board rival any hotel on land. The entire ship recently underwent a multi-million-dollar renovation, complete with brand new marble bathrooms to complement the oversized rooms and sweeping ocean views.
Occasionally we do get a special request from one of our passengers to blow that. So we do accommodate them occasionally. So we have had quite a few people at this trip, haven't we, blowing the whistle?
Yeah, a couple of people.
Yeah. You just have to make sure that nobody's painting the funnel or anything, because it can ruin their entire day. Morning. Morning, how are you doing? Thank you. Yeah. Well, very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Captain speaking, and much nicer day than yesterday. We've got quite fresh winds from the northwest, kicking up moderate to rough seas and causing just enough movement of the ship to let you know you're at sea.
Und hier nach den heutigen Wetternachrichten. Die Schiffsposition der Queen wird 2 um 12 Uhr mittags betrug 33 Grad Nord und 75 Grad 28 Minuten West.
So many of our passengers have travelled so many times with us that the names just sort of naturally come to you, and we always say it's a family, and they can become friends. So it is just like being a friend as opposed to being a paying guest. One of the best traditions, of course, is afternoon tea, and we serve it every afternoon between 4 and 5. As you can see, it's an over-silver service with the white gloves and so forth, and it's extremely popular. In fact, it's often quite difficult to get a seat here if you're not here early, so it is one of the things people do love to do on QE2. QE2 is that you do get such a range of passengers, people who work for 9 months of the year and then take 3 months holiday on QE2. And we know there are people who do that, and what a marvellous thing to be able to do. And there are others, of course, one lady who lives on board the whole time, and also there are passengers who book with us year after year after year and just like to take the yearly holiday on QE2 and come back in the year as well. I mean, we see some people for up to 5 months a year on QE2, which is quite tremendous, really.
It's still the fastest commercial vessel afloat. There's no doubt when ships pick us up going across the North Atlantic and we're doing 28 knots, it can't be anything else, whether you see us or not, and they pick us up on the radar doing 28 knots, they know it's the QE2.
In many ways, the QE2 is a floating city. A full-time librarian oversees the largest library of any ship at sea. It has its own hospital, complete with 2 full-time doctors and an operating room. You'll find fresh flowers in the greenery, a laundromat, a theater, a salon, a travel agent, and a synagogue. And just like at home, the morning paper is no problem, even in the middle of the ocean.
Passengers often ask, where can we buy the New York Times or the USA Today? It's quite simple, but we have what's called satellite shipboard news. That comes through by satellite, gets printed off downstairs in the print shop, and then every morning they get delivered through the passengers' doors. That's the newspaper.
The floating spa is rated one of the top 10 in the world. Relax in the misty waters of a swirling jacuzzi. Treat yourself to a luxurious massage, lulled to sleep by the gentle motion of the ship. Or book an exclusive treatment guaranteed to take off up to 8 inches in your first session. Now that's worth the price of a world cruise. There's a jogging trail, a boardroom, a bank. And if all the bars were full, half the passengers on board could raise a glass at the same time. But at the heart of the QE2 is a place no passenger ever sees. Just below the waterline are the vast engine rooms. They power the huge propellers and everything else on board, from air conditioning to hair dryers.
In fact, there's an island just off the UK called the Isle of Man, and the electrical system on that is about the same size as ours. And we could effectively just tie ourselves up alongside that island, and they could shut their generators down and we could feed the island. People often ask me, how many miles to gallon do you do, Chief? And that's around about 50 feet, which means that 20 gallons of fuel, which is the amount that's in the average family car fuel tank, will actually move the ship its own length.
this ship, Queen Elizabeth II. May God bless her and all who sail in her.
Book passage on the QE2 and you're welcomed into an extended family of international travelers who live and work on board.
I'm from Cornwall in the southwest of England. Cornwall was always famous for pirates and smugglers. I really always wanted to be a pirate when I was a kid, but there were no jobs going around for me at the time. But it's a very wild part of England, and certainly in the winter we get lots of gales, we get lots of rain, but I quite enjoy that. So I'm now going home for a couple of months in the winter, and I'm very much looking forward to gales.
I'm from Austria. My hometown is called Piesendorf.
I'm from Glasgow, Scotland.
My name's Kevin Barker. I'm the sommelier on board the QE2, and my hometown is Tavistock in Devon.
My name's Colin Parker, and I come from King's Langley, which is a small village in Hertfordshire, about 20 miles north of London. King's Langley is extremely famous because it's the place where Jimmy Carter, the ex-president of the United States, had his roots, hence we eat a lot of peanuts.
Some of the famous people we've had up here would be Gene Hackman, had him a couple of times now, Rod Stewart, authors Tom Clancy also, Dick Francis, he's a regular traveller up here with us, also Sally Jesse Raphael, American show host, that was fun. No, we were trying to get her to sort of be as she is on the show, and we're all shouting, go Sally, you know, and she would just went, get out of here, I'm on holiday.
I have the same problem with my wife, yes, when we're driving anywhere, but she always blames me. She says that I should know where I am, you know, automatically, but it doesn't quite work like that, so I know how you feel.
Can you drive a car pretty well, navigating highways as well as you can shiplands?
It would be embarrassing, and every time, you know, if the I was actually stopped by the police last time home, and I certainly wouldn't mention that I work on the QE2, that's for sure.
You know, I've just bought this place in Cornwall, just opposite Captain Hazel, in actual fact, because I've been living in the States for 12 years or so. And I've just bought this place opposite Captain Hazel, and I have a mooring with it, a dock, a pontoon dock, which is great. Now, I haven't got a boat yet, because I've only just moved there. And one of the neighbours, nobody knows what I do around there, and one of the neighbours came up to me, and we were just talking. He had his little 17-foot boat out there. I said, well, I'm thinking of getting a boat. And he said to me, he said, well, don't get anything too big. You don't want to embarrass yourself.
If they retired the ship tomorrow, I would be very upset. The ship is an incredible institution, and I think really it's the last of its kind. I don't think there'll be another QE2.
She captures a way of life that has all but disappeared and welcomes the passengers who will still be sailing her when another 30 years have slipped away. In a world of imitations, she is an original.